Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about Venus's retrograde in Leo, starting tomorrow, July 23rd, all the way until September 4th, 2023. She will be retrograding starting at 28 degrees of Leo. This is significant because it starts off very close to the fixed star Regulus, which is at 29 degrees Leo. And then she will retrograde back to the 12th degree of Leo before moving direct and onward through the Zodiac. Before I start my talk, I'm going to let you know what we're going to do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Venus in general, what she represents. I'm going to talk about the sign of Leo. These things will be imprinted upon the house which Leo is within your chart. So let's say you're an Aries Rising, then this is going to be your 5th house. If you are a Libra Rising, this is going to be your 11th house. So these videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. If you don't know your rising sign, you're going to want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and location in order to determine that information. I also want to bring up that if you have personal planets in Leo right now, the moon, Venus herself, Mars, Mercury, any of these planets in your natal chart, then you're going to want to pay attention to that as well, because this is going to be very significant for you and a very significant transit. So let's jump in. Let's talk about what Venus represents when she is in the sign of Taurus. She rules Taurus and Libra, and they're different. Taurus is an earth sign. Libra is an air sign. Taurus rules the 5 senses. So Venus is all about touch and taste and sight and smell and hearing. She is about creating comfort and beauty and resources that are bountiful. She is here in Taurus, she loves to enjoy music and to talk about the things that she finds beautiful, like art and culture. She very much in this sign likes things that are familiar to her, things that are dependable for her, things that she can count on, things that she thinks and feels are reliable in the sign of Taurus. She is very sensual and loyal in this sign, but she's also possessive and stubborn. Everything has its yin and its yang. Venus in Taurus wants time for love to grow. She doesn't want to be rushed into anything. She wants to very much enjoy the journey of discovery. And that discovery allows her to feel a sense of confidence and stability within love. So I think that's important. And while all these things and qualities are true for her in Taurus, when we go into Venus in Libra, we see her focused on her partnerships, focused on cooperation in partnerships. And here we see her, when Venus is in Taurus, she's a little more earthy, a little more, I know she's an earth sign, but I mean, she doesn't require the finest things. She doesn't require the best of the best. Venus in Libra really likes luxury, likes the finest things, likes a high thread count on her sheets. She enjoys labels and name brands and beautiful jewelry. Here, while she enjoys all those very beautiful things, sometimes she can get a little caught up in defining herself by those things. And therefore, if she is not utilizing her talents and creating her own abundance, she will rely on her partnership. And in that reliance, she can sometimes diminish her power because she feels it's necessary to represent for the outside world the best possible face of things. She is the one who plays Miss Nice Nice. She's the one who wants to be fair-minded in many ways. And yet at the same time, she can have a flip side where when she feels that people are not fair with her, she will pick at what holes she sees in them and who they are. She can be a little tit for tat that way. She is very, very romantic in Libra. I'm not saying that she's not romantic in Taurus, but when Venus is in Taurus, she's like let's have a good meal and let's have some fine wine. In Libra, she wants the rose petals on the table, and she wants champagne, and she wants a maestro to be playing beautiful music as she's dining. These are the fine nuances between the two signs, and the commonality of Venus herself. In some ways, Venus can be very put off by garishness, by people that don't display manners or a sense of graciousness. She very much likes the protocol of culture. I want to put it that way. She, if you've got a Venus-ruled woman, you don't want to go on your first date with her in flip-flops and shabby jeans. Venus in Leo. Leo is the sign of romance, the sign of fun, the sign of excitement, the sign of entertainment. Everything that goes on inside of Leo, including the conception of children, is enjoyable, brings pleasure to those five senses, brings a sense of magic to those Libran qualities. Here she wants to feel special. She wants to be courted. She wants to be loving out loud. This is the kind of idea where Venus in Leo wants a skywriter, that says, I love you, and wants the whole world to know it. She can be very flirtatious in Leo, but she's also very loyal. So she doesn't usually cross the line too much. She does thrive on romantic attention in Leo. It is sort of a prerequisite if you're dating somebody with Venus and Leo. And during this particular aspect, this is going to come up in relationships. What is the give and take in our relationship? Are we thriving in our relationship? Do we create magic in our relationship? Are we supporting each other's desires and dreams and creating peace and harmony? Venus in Leo will want you to text her first thing in the morning and late at night and on your lunch break, attention, attention, attention. And if that doesn't happen, she can display a tad bit of jealousy. So we throw this little bit of Leo jealousy on with her little bit of Libra. Taurus, not so much. Venus in Taurus, I don't think would mention that she was jealous. Taurus is the silent one. So here we see that a little bit in play. That kind of can make you feel good sometimes if it's not in the extreme. Now, okay, so let's go on to, what was my other note? Oh, let's talk about the fifth house in general. Okay, so this is the imprint of the fifth house and Leo. It's a quest for creative expression. It is a house that is dominated by the idea that this earthly experience is an adventure. It is fun, and it's about being able to birth the most creative corners of our physical being out into the world. We want to make people have a good time, or Leo, the fifth house, wants people to have a good time. And my experience of Leo parents, they're fun. They're fun, and they make sure their children have fun. I picked this background. I usually don't because it's quite busy, the waves moving in the wind, but I thought this is where Venus would want to be today, on the beach, as she's about to review everything that she has been observing walking through Leo in the last few months. So let's jump in, because this month, or not this month, Leo's blah, 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 blah. Geez, the words. Venus has already been in Leo, as we know. She's at the 28th degree, and she starts the retrograde in a yod. A yod is considered a rare aspect. It is when two quincunxes create a focal point on a planet, and then the two planets here, I hope I'm saying this succinctly, so bear with me a minute. 3 planets are involved. 2 planets are in a sextile. Those 2 planets make a quincunx to a third planet as the focal point. That third planet is usually the fastest moving planet in a true yod, and the orb is 1 to 2 degrees within the planets. Here we see Venus at 28 degrees retrograde, the focal point, with Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, and Pluto has been retrograde for a while. And Pluto is making the sextile to Neptune retrograde at 27 degrees Pisces. This is significant because it is the theme of the retrograde. A yod is also known as the finger of God or the finger of fate. Now, when I think of the finger of fate, I believe that my soul has contracted to walk through a certain experience, and that experience gives me a fated opportunity to make a new choice. And that choice is what I believe is karma, because choice is a representation of our belief in ourselves, our focal point of thought, and that kicks in the divine laws of the universe. So I think this is very, very powerful, because at the very same time, Venus is making aspects to our new nodal structure. She's making a trine to the North Node in Aries at 29 degrees, and she's making a sextile to Libra, the planet she rules, at 29 degrees. So this just doubles down, triples down on this opportunity to sit in an awakening, in an awareness that the choices I make now, the choices that I contemplate now, and the permissions I give myself to believe in myself and to bet on myself and to put all my chips into my Venus energy is so powerful. It can change your life karmically for lifetimes to come. It's like a real, it's not just a fork in the road, it's a fork in your evolution that allows you to vibrate at a whole new frequency of attraction. So let me kind of play with this, because I'm all about TV and movies, and I use them as references. So when I was contemplating this yacht, I was thinking of Pluto as Pluto's the dark energy, the deep psychological imprint of what I operate on. And I really was thinking of Pluto in this moment being like Luke Skywalker to Venus, because Venus represents our self-worth, our relationship with money, our relationship with our family dynamic, and how it imprinted our confidence or our sense of self, which then imprinted our beauty, imprinted our willingness to birth our talents, to sing our songs out into the world. And so here Pluto is sort of representing this willingness to go into that deep psychological imprint and transform it. Now, Pluto is in a sextile with Neptune. I was thinking about Neptune, and I meant to check this before I started the video, but Poseidon and Neptune rule the underworld. And I'm kind of pretty sure about that, because I know Neptune rules the seas, and the seas rule our emotional body, the oceans do, hence this background. And so I'm thinking of the Neptune energy as this fog, this sort of cloudy water, this sort of, when we think of Luke Skywalker and when he went into the cave of fear and started to battle with Darth Vader, he thought he was battling the enemy, aka Neptune. But when his head got lobbed off and it fell to the ground, he saw it was his own face. So he was battling his own illusions, his own disempowerment. The 12th house, which Neptune rules, is where we are the most unseen, where we feel as if we are invisible on some level. And it's where in the dark our deepest fears get stoked. It's also a beautiful house of creativity. But in this focal point to Venus, this is a very transformational time to see, what do I believe about myself? What do I believe about my Leo energy? energy? Do I believe I'm lovable? Do I believe I can conceive and have children? Do I believe I can conceive and have my creative babies? Do I believe I deserve to enjoy stuff? Or do I just have to work, 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 work? All of this is coming up for review and is the theme of this retrograde. So all the aspects that I'm going to talk about moving forward for the 42 days that she's in retrograde are in some ways supporting the awareness of what has been and the choice of what can be when you put your focus on it. Because when you put your focus on the high vibrations of Venus, then you're enjoying your relationship with money. You're enjoying your relationship with your own skills and talents, which allows you to more richly and more authentically enjoy your relationship with other people, including intimate partners and your children. So that's what I think is so exciting about doing this work, and so exciting about being alive in this time and being able to share this information with so many people sharing the same interests. So let's dive in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about some ranges. I've got influence ranges. So here we start on July 31st until August 15th. So this is a good, majority of we're looking at almost 2 weeks, little over 2 weeks of an influence of Venus in a square with Uranus. And Uranus is at degrees it hasn't been before. It's now at 22 degrees, or it will be during this period of time, 22 degrees and 23 degrees of Taurus. So this is Venus's home sign. So she's familiar with the Taurus energy. And I believe the square is Venus having a conversation with herself about the confidence level. What did her family imprint leave on her about her beauty, about her ability to create, about her viability on the stage? Now, when I say her because Venus is a feminine energy, but if I'm not, this is not exclusive to females. This is very much for both genders, or all genders, all however you identify. The Venus as a receptive energy. How do you receive your inspirations? How do you allow your history to serve your future versus pulling you under? I think that with this Uranus square, we're going to see you popping historic blocks and having sort of these like lightning bolt epiphanies, and out of nowhere that suddenly unchain you from something that's been holding you back. I want to say that I have turned my verbiage in my challenges from, oh no, is this happening again, to divine disruption. How do where's the wisdom to be extracted from it? Because somewhere, if I believe I'm a co-creator and I'm experiencing something I don't like, then I am on some level a component to that. And rather than judging that, I just want to be aware of it so I can shift my energy. All right, now we have Venus on about August 8th. And again, this is going to last 2 weeks. Venus retrograde will be in a trine to Chiron at 19 degrees. Chiron is retrograde as well. Chiron goes retrograde on the exact same day as Venus. Now, I chose to focus on Venus, not Chiron, because Venus's retrograde is shorter. And right now, I think it's super important to look at our relationship with money and with our sense of confidence and with our sense of viability in relationships, and where are we on the measuring stick of our own willingness to receive and believability, because that's what I think Chiron is going to bring up. Venus has already been in trine with Chiron once, and as she retrogrades, she's going to enjoy that trine again. Now, this is a harmonious aspect that affords me an opportunity to feel inspired and to see the wisdom of my journey here on the planet, and to allow myself a little bit of a step back, the retrograde, to maybe even pat myself on the back a little bit for all the bravery I've displayed. Chiron is the healer, but I like to call him the balancer, because our wound is something we have agreed to. The point of Chiron in our chart is a place that we have agreed to experience so that we can transform it. When we look at Chiron in the sign of Aries, this is very much about the self. It's a wound of the self, a wound of the Aryan energy. And oftentimes we see the Aryan energy be very focused on Mars's most challenging aspects. You warrior, you harsh, you're aggressive, you know? And it's all those things that help you cut through the jungle and pioneer new land. So I think this is important to really start to redefine these things and to give yourself permission to transform your history by using it as a platform to step forward on, versus trying to cut a cord and get rid of it. That is just not really a viable thing to do. I just don't know humans that can do that very often. So anyway, and then we will see when Venus goes direct in September, and probably this will be probably mid-September, we'll start to see this trine form again. And this is where we can really extract the reward, the pearls, the wisdom, as we've had this opportunity in June as she went by this wound the first time. And it started us asking ourselves questions about what we believe in ourselves. And then in the review, we're going to start to determine the things we do like about ourselves. And some of those things may just be a double-edged sword. I'm an Aries rising, and I don't have a temper, but I have a real strong ability to stand up for what I think is right and just and fair. Hello, my Libra sun. And I'm willing to stand up. And I don't care if somebody's like, 8 feet tall. Sometimes that's not the smartest idea, but I've learned how to use that energy more wisely as I've aged. So I'm not going to go back to when I was full of piss and vinegar. And I want to encourage you all to do the same thing. All right, so here we go. Now we have on the 16th of August, we will have a new moon in Leo. And at that time, Venus will be at 18 degrees of Leo retrograde. Here, this is technically a 5-degree orb to the new moon. And I'll give it that energy because at the 18th degree, that is the Virgo degree. And the 23rd degree new moon, which is the Aquarian degree, I have an opportunity to really plant new seeds in the dark of this new moon that will release the history that has enslaved me to smallness. Because I really do believe that Aquarian new moon degree is about liberating myself, about being a bit of a rebel to what has been. And that 18th degree, that Virgo, it's like, how can I serve the world by releasing myself from the chains that obligate me to things I don't enjoy? No more of that. That's an old human story. I'm sorry, we're starting anew. All right. Now we have on the 15th, I'm backing up a day, I'm sorry. This is going to be an influence that we are going to feel until probably mid-September. Venus is retrograde again at 15 degrees Leo. She is in a square with Jupiter at 15 degrees Taurus. So this square is pretty much in play until for the rest of the retrograde. And I say this because Jupiter is about expansion. Jupiter is about wealth. Jupiter's about philosophy and ideologies and religion and business and commerce and marketing. And I feel as if this square, and at the same time that this square is happening, Venus is in a loose trine with Chiron. So what do you believe about yourself? I always believe that squares are forks in the road that ask and put attention on me because I have an old habitual way of believing, thinking, and behaving. And then I have this new idea, this new version of myself that I really want to root into my physical experience. And yet it's not quite there yet. And the tension between the two creates friction for me. And here, this is about, what will you believe about yourself? What will you believe about your ability to make money and thrive as you allow what's important to you to be birthed into the world? Do you believe you have to effort? Because Venus is not an efforter. She's the Empress in the tarot deck, sitting back, waiting for someone to bring her something. So this is the feminine energy of reception. And as you anchor that idea that if you build it, it will come. If you focus on how it feels when you receive the resources you want, the joy, the relief, then those things start to show up in your physical experience. It's amazing. And when you practice it, and I have been practicing it, I know that it's real. And I actually feel stable because of that. All right. Now, on the very last day of the retrograde, we will see the moon meet with Jupiter. Why did I put that Aries note in there? Hold on, let me look. The last day, the moon will meet with Jupiter, and Venus is making a square with Jupiter. Oh, I know why I did that. Okay, so the very last day of Venus's retrograde, she now is at 12 degrees of Leo. She is still in square to Jupiter, who is going retrograde on the day Venus moves direct. So Jupiter has been stationing at 15 degrees, about to go retrograde, and will stay retrograde until the end of the year, literally New Year's Eve. So this is a very, very interesting energy, because whatever conversations that Jupiter and Venus have had together, and a lot of astrologers think these two planets are very cooperative, and yet here in the square, there's sort of a real deep dive into their conversation. And this is where Jupiter is getting a little bit pushy about Venus, okay? Because the retrograde starts with Jupiter still direct and Venus retrograde. So Jupiter is saying, what do you really believe about yourself? Come on, think bigger, plan bigger, broader, allow for yourself to be diverse and to expand. And Venus is like, I'm not sure. Will people like me? Will I be good enough? Will I make money? Will my lover still love me? And Jupiter's like, yes, do it. And so then Venus starts to move forward, and Jupiter steps back into Taurus a bit, just to give us a little more perception and perspective about how broad we can move and what we can build. And Jupiter is going to do that for the rest of the year. All right, so now what I'm going to do is briefly talk about what house, the environment. When we look on the zodiac wheel, we see a sign, it indicates traits, like character traits. But when we see the house, we're seeing the environment. Here, I've got this beach background. And nice for me, I'm so lucky, I have beach in front of me too, because I live at the beach. All right, so for Aries, Leo is your fifth house. It is Leo's natural house, and it's a very comfortable place for Venus to be traveling, no matter what, where it falls in the wheel. But here the focus is truly on creating yourself, expressing yourself, being brave and courageous and authentic, and in many ways enjoying the journey. Aries, don't move too quickly through this. Allow yourself the privilege of basking in what you're creating, because that will actually give you more, I almost want to use the word opportunities. It's like basking in what you are creating and savoring it brings more good things to the table for you to enjoy. So I really want to encourage you, love, laughter, fun, games, whatever you enjoy. This is a wonderful time to endeavor those things in a way that you look at them as viable balance for moving forward when it's time to work. The Leo energy is in the summertime for us in the United States. And so there is a focus on play. And here, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes play is work, because when we have downtime, we can be then inspired, we can feel more ready to move forward succinctly, we have more clarity about what we want to do, and even sometimes we have more tenacity and more endurance to go through those shady times when we don't know what's quite ahead. So that's what I want to offer. For my Tauruses, the house of Leo is the house of home, the house of nurturing, the house of healing, the house of family and family imprint. So here, I guess this could be an opportunity to see, are you enjoying time in your home with your family? Are you nurturing yourself? Are you taking good care that it should not, that I hate to use the word should, that your opportunity is to see the value of playtime as a way of replenishment, so you have more energy to move forward in the next endeavor. I also believe with the yod, or the finger of God, that there is a real opportunity for my Taurus risings to take a look at your family dynamic and to create wisdom from it. I don't think it's about changing it, but I think at this moment it's, will I allow this, rather than to anchor me to one spot, will I allow that challenging family dynamic or the imprint that had been left, can I allow that to be a platform for my awareness? And in that awareness, I get the choice of moving forward in spite of my fears or trepidations. That finger of God is not pointing at you to punish you or to criticize you, but rather to give you an opportunity to stretch, and to stretch beyond your ability to see your brilliance. That's the way I want to put it for my Tauruses, because sometimes our families don't always bring out our brilliance. Sometimes they do the opposite. All right, for my Gemini risings, Leo is your third house, the house of social activity and communications and everyday activities, teammates, workmates, neighborhood fun, you know, the barbecues with your community, your friends, your posse. I want to say in this retrograde, you could very well be looking at some of the ways you're spending your time. You know, am I enjoying the groups I'm spending time with? Are they allowing an even exchange of energy? Am I allowing myself to be my authentic self? Or am I in some ways feeling I'm playing to the crowd? Gemini is an interesting energy because, you know, it's a sign of the twins, and yet while there are the twins, you are an individual. And so I think this is about an opportunity to see yourself and your value within your group. Your Gemini is so full. The third house is so full of all your activities. You naturally rule the third house. Here we're talking about the house of Leo. So we're really talking about you in front of an audience of your peers and how you perceive yourself in that audience. Meaning, are they responding to you? Are they booing you? And I think that maybe you could be inadvertently focused on the one or two people that don't seem to be enjoying whatever you are or whatever you're birthing, and yet there could be a whole group of people that is. And this retrograde is giving you an opportunity to see where maybe you're trying to be all things to all people, or be, you know, I don't know quite where I'm going with this, but I almost feel a little overwhelmed by the crowd versus me just being authentic within the crowd and letting the crowd, if they move away, they move away, but those that love me will come closer. That's the way I want to put it. Cancer. This is the second house for you of Leo, and that's a money house. And I think the yod of God is all about that Venus focal point for you and what you value, how you value your family history, how you take care of yourself within partnerships. I feel as if this second house is asking you to use your voice, your intuitive voice. And while you're experiencing the retrograde, you may be, you know, literally establishing your communications with the people upstairs, your ancestral family, that helps you to feel more anchored and trusting in this physical experience as you birth what you want. your desires, how you feel comfortable. Venus is a very, very, she's kind of Leo-like, you know, she's very much involved in the things of the earth and creating beauty around the earth, creating good food and good experiences. And I think that this is right up your alley. And if you've been holding yourself back because you've been insecure or unsure, I think if you look at yourself and you're like, okay, if I love it, everybody's got to love it. And if they don't love it, it doesn't matter, because the people who do love it will love it, and the people who don't can just go away, period. And that's the running theme for this whole Leo idea. Okay. Leo, first house. Venus is in your first house of self. I mean, if you're not having fun with this, we've got to do something about that. Because honestly, Leo, first of all, you've had Mars in your first house, giving you a spurt of energy. I know Mars has been in opposition to Pluto for a little bit, and that might have been a little challenging, but it was going to unearth something that needed a little light, something that needed a little air to get the stink out. And now this is really an opportunity for you to dig deep into your creative being, to who and what you are, to how you roll, to allow yourself to love out loud, laugh out loud, and enjoy your life. And to maybe even see how much you are allowing yourself that sense of freedom. That's the way I want to put it. I always think, Leo, the sun rules the zodiac, therefore you rule the zodiac. And you also rule personal pleasure. You're the performer, you're the clown, you're the child. You're the, I always want to say the sassy one, but you know, you're so much fun to be around. And I think you are that energy, because you're reminding the rest of us that this place really isn't supposed to be arduous. And when we're standing in an arduous energy, it gives us an opportunity to see where we're focused and where we are allowing structures that superimpose obligation and duty upon us to take a priority over what we want for ourselves. So I don't know if being selfish is really selfish, because I think that if I'm happy, then I'm naturally going to be happy around you, and that's going to make you happy. And when I dig really deep about people who tell me I'm selfish, I think, well, there's two agendas here. There's mine, and then there's yours. So if your agenda wins, who's selfish? Just saying. All right, Virgo, Leo is your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of undoing. It's a house where we spend self-undoing, by the way. It's a house where we actually exhibit behaviors of self that don't serve us, you know, hence the addiction issues with the 12th house. But I want to offer this here, because with Virgo as the 12th house, Virgo with Leo as your 12th house, this is where you don't see fun. You don't see yourself as special enough to step out on the stage. This is where you have an opportunity during this retrograde to really review what is important to you and what you have inadvertently thought was important to you, because it's a habit of behavior or process, or how you have analyzed the probabilities of your life. So I think that this Leo energy in retrograde in the 12th house is asking you to dream more. And I know that traditionally we believe the 12th house is literally the dreams that we sleep, you know, when we sleep. But when we sleep, we go into a place of non-resistance. We go into a place where the human consciousness, for the most part, quiets down, and the truth of who we are is allowed access to us while we're in the physical. So I think this is an important opportunity for Virgo to start to rewrite how you engage in your own personal time, pleasure, play, and romance. And romance is not about sex. It's about fun. Okay. The next is Libra Rising. Leo is your 11th house of networks, of, you know, the rules big systems, the World Wide Web, you know, it rules futuristic things and air travel and lightning ideas, you know, this genius. So this Venus retrograde could very much see you having a real, like, moments of like brilliance, about things you want to birth moving forward. Almost feeling like, as I tune into the Libra energy, I almost feel like, Venus just entered your house, right? So technically your first house. I'm sorry, I didn't mean Venus. I meant the South Node. Venus is in your 11th house of Leo. These houses are sextile one another. They are a favorable aspect. Now, I want to offer this because the South Node, while people think of it as a point of loss, I think of it as a point of being egoless to the human dynamic so that I can birth a truer, more authentic, and fulfilling version of myself within my Venusian energy, within my partnerships, my partnership with money, my partnership with a human, my partnership with my creativity, my partnership with my fun, my partnership with birthing myself on the network out there in the big wide world and allowing myself to have fun. So I think this is going to be a time that really offers you, the review to me, I don't know why this is coming across this way. I think a lot of us are going to be patting ourselves on the back for the things we've been doing, and rightfully so, because we've all been really doing our best to be in the greatest awareness and making choices that will facilitate, the ease of our money and the joy of our relationships and the pleasure of expressing our talents and gifts. And now I think that it's time to celebrate a little bit. And that's what I think this review is, because when Venus moves forward again, I feel like she's going to want to start to dig into chapter 2 or whatever the chapter is after she's reviewed all of this energy. So I think it's super exciting. Scorpio Rising Taurus is Leo is your 10th house. And that's the house of career. It's a house that is very visible to the outside world. Now, Scorpio by nature doesn't necessarily like to be visible. It rules the things we don't see. For the most part, it rules our deep psychological imprint. It rules money. Scorpio rules the exchange of money with others in the way of inheritance taxes, stock investments, those kind of things. So this retrograde with Venus in Leo could see you having money bounty, as you explore more, I almost want to say it this way, intuitive ways of using your money. I don't know why I want to put it that way, but there's something about a change of status for you as you understand the ebb and the flow of your resources. And I feel like that almost might be an awareness of your own psychological imprint that allows you to release any power or control that's coming from fear. And in doing so, you bring more money, Venus rules money, into your professional experience and into your career. As you see, my hands as it's coming to me versus efforting out for it. And your ruling planet is retrograde at 29 degrees, Pluto, in Capricorn, and is part of the yod that permeates this retrograde period. I really believe the yod that I spoke of earlier in the video is the focal point and the theme of this video. So that's exciting for you. For my Sagittariuses, Leo is your 9th house of diversity, of culture, of philosophy and ideology and higher education and business and commerce, and this could be a really great opportunity for you to review how you're birthing yourself out in the world. Maybe you're going to think about new marketing strategies. Maybe you're going to think about, how do I want to rebrand myself? How do I want to integrate new things I've learned or new things I've garnished wisdom from? The 9th house rules the connection to the angelic realm. You could find yourself feeling much more connected to your guides and your angels. And I want to offer this too, because I use the word guides often because it's a habit for me from years ago when I started studying. And I have been repeatedly feeling like I should shift the word guides to shepherds, because Spirit is not really calling us, come this way, do this, you should do that. That's not what's happening. What Spirit and what your team is doing is holding space for you the way a shepherd guards the flock while the flock grazes. And I believe you're here to graze on the fruits of this planet and to expand upon them. And here with Leo being your 9th house, expand upon your joy, on your creativity, on the viability of you being your own asset. And doing so, I think we're going to see wealth and more abundance coming your way. So this feels good to me. Again, this retrograde is a period of time of review, of a focal point about what is important to me, where I feel valued, how I feel loved, and the redefinition of that, and the clarity of whether or not I'm bringing an old story into the future or into the today. And I haven't thought about it enough to realize that I don't care about some of the things that I used to care about in the same way. Okay, Capricorn. Leo is your 8th house, and that's kind of brilliant because if you think about it, Capricorn is the most dutiful energy. You know, you are asked to endure beyond your own emotional enjoyment, and Leo rules enjoyment, and 8th house is all transformation. So this is really you and Pluto's last few, hurrahs in your sign, and allowing you to truly be the baby goat that you are. I'm really excited for you, Capricorn. I hope you're taking advantage and allowing yourself this transformation, because all of the hard work you're used to doing, all of the leadership you're used to displaying, and all of the beautiful behaviors that you're used to fostering for other people, as you do that for your own personal pleasure and you start to really kick in the laws of the universe that bring things to you and then you capitalize on them, you become very much like Saturn when he ruled the golden age and brought mankind such gifts and such tools that this was a period of abundance and a commingling. And when I say a commingling, I feel as it's a commingling between the earthbound part of me and the part of me that knows I can do great things. So I'm excited for you for that. All right, for my Aquarius rising, Leo is your 7th house. You will be reviewing your partnerships, and not just your intimate partnerships, but those professional partnerships. You'll be looking and seeing, are we still aligned? Are we still focused on the same goals? Do we still want the same things? This can be very much a parting of the ways with some people, and at the same time, it can be a very harmonious one. The 7th house is harmonious, peaceful, and cooperative, and this could just be like we're just not aligned anymore. I don't know if y'all remember the band Wham. George Michael was part of a twosome, and when they broke up and George Michael went on to his own personal solo career, which was fabulous and amazing and the best music ever, I mean, I don't know of all time, but of his career with Wham, his partner, I can't even remember the guy's name, they had a very amicable breakup. It was like a warm, fuzzy kind of situation. So this yod may bring into focus some things that just, are no longer aligned and everybody's kumbaya about it, but we'll see on the next side. All right, and finally, our Pisces. This Leo is your 6th house of work, employment, health, and of your pets, and of a sense of duty, a sense of process, a sense of being reliable. Now, I want to offer this. I really think with Venus being in your 6th house, it's a good time for you to really step up your perception of your gifts and your talents, to look at the healer within you, to look at your compassionate heart, to look at your, creative talents and gifts. Because I know Saturn is going through your 1st house and really kind of throwing some harsh light on your illusions or your fantasies. But it is the definition between what is a vision for you to create in the future and what is a hope, looking at something that's repeatedly shown you not viability in moving forward. And that's where fantasy and illusion become a more challenging energy. So I think you're going to experience a real assessment, reevaluation of your work environment, your what you're eating, what you're ingesting, if you're partying too much, it's affecting your health because you're not happy or you're not allowing the greatness within you to be birthed. One of the challenges of being strong Pisces energy is that you're naturally the 12th house, and it can be a house where you feel unseen, where you feel invisible, and therefore you start to act that way. And you don't need to, because you aren't. You are very visible, and we want to see you, and we want to hear the beautiful music you have to offer us. So please play your special song. All right, everybody, that's it for our Venus retrograde. I think it's going to be a really interesting time to look to the future with a sense of faith in oneself and the skills that you naturally brought to this planet that are going to thrive and to demonstrate possibilities for other people. All right, that's it for me. If you like what you see, feel free to reach out. I'm doing astrology charts now. I'm doing angel readings. I have time coming up. I'm not really too backed up. If you'd like to join me tomorrow morning, Sundays, 11 a.m. Pacific time, I do my live stream. It's where we do angel readings and we get advice from the angels for moving through the transits of the week ahead. All right, everybody, that's it for me for now. Sending lots of love to you. Peace out.